Hello everyone, Chrisa here, and today we're going to be working on our ochos, but we're going to dive in a little bit more to how the legs are connected and working with our hips, and then the movement goes up into the rest of the body, and that in reverse, how the upper body connects and transmits the movement into the legs. So the idea here is to understand that our body doesn't work in how can I say fragmentally. So one piece does that, the other piece does the other, and there's no connection between the two. That's not how the human body works. There is so much connectivity in our bodies. It is fantastic. It is something miraculous. Everything is connected. So we want to not to block that connection, we want to understand it and to notice it in our movement, not to exaggerate it. That's what we're going to do using the exercises. But when we're going to be doing our ochos and our walks, just to notice it. So, if you're ready, here we go. We're going to start on our side with one shoulder over the other, one hip over the other, and end up in this twisted position, in a T position as they call it. We're not going to do this rotation, this twist from the body, from the core. We're going to start it from the hand. Of course our body will turn, but I want you to feel how your arm drags you in and pushes you out. So the arm is the first one to start moving, is the one to initiate the movement, and then the rest of the body follows. Don't block, don't stop your body from moving, so don't fragment that movement, but focus on making the hand, actually the fingertips, be the first ones to start to move the curl in, and then the rest of the hand follows, and then the elbow, and then the shoulder, and then the ribs, and then the rest of the spine. Yeah. Make sure also that your hips are relaxed. After you find it, take a glimpse at my hips. They're not steady. They're not completely square. That's very, very important. When you're ready, we switch sides. We do exactly the same thing. This way you can even see it a little bit better, how my arm is the first one to come in and then drag me over. But I'm not resisting, you see? I'm not blocking that movement. Same thing happens in my hips. So my hips are not going to block. They are moving. You can see it very clearly here. So my hips are going to open up a little bit because everything in our body is attached. I could use muscle here to stop the hips from moving. I don't want to do that. I don't want to create tension that is completely unnecessary. Instead, I want to focus more on that end position, in that T position, to make a nice long exhale and let the whole spine extend. So at this end position, feel your whole spine extending from the top of your head all the way into your tail. We're going to do the same thing with the lower body, starting with the leg, feeding the movement into the hips, and then finishing off with the other leg. But I want you to aim for a very smooth, flowy transition, not to block. It's very easy to block at that point, to make sure that, oh, I'm not moving my hips, I'm not moving my legs. That's not the point. The point is to understand how the legs are moving inside your hips, how your hips are moving around your legs, how the whole system moves together, and how that affects the rest of the body. So if we see it here, let's see what is happening. Our knee is opening up, so we have a leg, then a hip, and then a leg. Same thing on the other side. A leg, a hip, I'm still not moving that left knee, and a leg. Of course they're moving together, but we're trying to initiate from our legs. Feel how they're moving, how they can move our hips. How can they inspire that movement in our hips? We're not blocking, we're not stopping the movement from happening just to create fragments of movement. We just want to notice how that movement happens from the legs into the hips, from the hips around the legs, and so on and so forth. It's also important in both these exercises, upper body and lower body, to notice how your right side communicates with your left side, your front communicates with your back, and your upper communicates with the lower. So here you can see my upper body is very relaxed. No tension in the shoulders, no tension in the thorax, no tension at all. Of course, it's gonna move. Of course it's gonna move. It's okay. It's absolutely normal for it to move. We don't want to create unnecessary tension. Exactly like we said, we talked about the hips when we were doing our twists for the upper body. Here things are going to get a little bit more fun. We're going to put the things together. Upper body starts to twist. One knee comes in and initiates the second part of that movement. Now the leg is going to start. It's going to feed into the hips, and it's going to take our upper body around. So, upper body, leg, here comes, leg, hips, upper, leg, hips, upper. Yes? Upper body, into the leg, into the hip, into the body. From the leg, into the hip, into the body. So we're actually putting the two exercises together, just like we're going to be doing in our forward ochos and our back ochos very, very, very soon. So pay attention here. There are quite a few things to pay attention to, but I think the most important thing is your breathing. So when you want to use your breath as a rhythm pattern. You want to establish a rhythm pattern that feels good. You want to find space in the joints, so you need to use your breath for that. You don't want to hold your breath when you're doing twists. Remember, I think we talked about this in the last video, when you're doing to twist. It's easier to twist when you are in a curve, to start your twist in a flex spine. So that's how we're starting here. Flexion comes easier with an inhale, but then to just get a little bit deeper into that twist, we need an exhale for the spine to extend and allow us to reach just a little tiny bit more. So with these elements in mind, you start with a nice deep breath in that first twist of the upper body, and then an exhale. Inhale, exhale, feel the weight of your hips dropping down, feel the spine extending. And again, exhale, inhale, exhale. So maybe you're going to be going slower than me or faster. Just have those tips in mind. And release. Things are about to get a little tiny bit more difficult. So now you're probably seeing a person just going from side to side. Okay. This is a little bit closer to what happens when we're doing our ochos. So I want you to think one leg, hip, the other leg. So find that transition first. Let's say it again here. One leg, hip, the other leg. And one leg, hip, the other leg. So we want to find how movement passes from one leg through the hips into the other leg and creates for us that twist. And of course, the body is there to support, along with our breath. Here, our breathing is very, very important as a rhythm base, but also to secure a healthier rotation. So at your last point, you exhale, reaching. Inhale as that leg starts to move. Turn and switch over. You're not holding your breath. You exhale here. You inhale to start. Inhale as that back leg starts to lift. Release through center and start over. So I don't want to tell you the rhythm of your breathing. I just want to tell you the starting point and the end point. The end point is an extension of the spine. So you release, you exhale. The start point is a curve of the spine. So you inhale. So with those points in mind, off you go. So we're going to go for a walk, but I want you to think and most of all notice the things that we talked about just before. They all apply here. This movement is a movement you are more familiar with. It's not as difficult as forward and back ochos. So it will give you the mental space to notice things about your body. Notice how the two legs communicate with each other, how they communicate with the hips, how the hips are communicating with the legs, how the upper is communicating with the lower, and all of these stuff. So things we worked on while doing our twists all apply here, only it's a different kind of movement. So I want you to notice, because we're doing ochos right after. Adding a cross would make it a little bit more obvious. Do a couple of them, just finding your balance, focusing on that to start with, and then I want you to notice how that free leg affects the movement of your axis, around your axis, and in line with your axis. So there's always movement in our bodies, and every part is connected to the rest of the body. So don't create tension just to keep your balance and stay, on that on each leg every time you step. Notice the movement, the energy, the muscle balance that we have here. All different kinds of balance. We need to discover them. And now ochos, small traveling ochos like we've done the times before. They will allow you to notice the exercises we did on the floor, how they apply here. So let's see. Leg, hip, hip, leg, leg, hip, hip, leg, leg, hip, hip, leg. So go slow. Try to notice that movement. Keep your pivots, the angle of your pivot, small, so you're continuously traveling and you're not adding that extra technique trouble. And again, just like when we were working on the floor, don't fragment your movement. Just notice how left and right, front and back, upper and lower are communicating. Okay, now get ready. Nice big pivot. Settle and take off. Take the time that you need to settle. Notice these things are going to help you immensely. These tips, I can't stop repeating them. How the two legs are communicating, how they are moving inside your hips, how your hips are moving around your legs, how the lower body is connected to the upper body, and vice versa. After a few repetitions, you will be able to even identify how the arms fit in to all of this. Now we're focusing a lot on the legs, but the arms, if you notice, they have some flexibility and they play an important role in this. Feel every time that someone is pushing through the hand into your body, into the hips, into the legs, for you to do the pivot. This time, we're going to be going into nice big back ochos, and they are a little bit more difficult. But remember, we have tools for this. We have the movement of our spine that is a curve. As we extend the leg, this whole spine extends, curve again, and pivot. And we also have the tools from the exercises that we did on the floor. Here you can see it clearly. Leg, hip, hip, leg, and turn.